morning, Brew Crew. Hello, all. I'm Eric, N1JUR, and I'm with.
Hello, I am Shannon, KC1OHT in the US or 2 Echo Zero Oscar Hotel Tango in the United Kingdom.
Struggling very hard not to cough in between words there.
Yep.
Well, welcome. And yeah, we are Brew and Activate. So we are your POTA guides, your mentors, lovers of all things POTA. And welcome to another awesome episode of Brew and Activate today. Got a lot of folks there in the chat. Good morning. Good to see Ted there, Sean, Rabbit Ham, Roger, the usuals. Appreciate all you guys hanging out there. I did see a new member, Rabbit Ham. Welcome. Appreciate you being part of the channel there. And we've got some interesting stuff to talk about today for sure. Hopefully you're tuning in and ready to kind of get into some nuts and bolts, and we're going to, talk about some radios and whatnot. And so looking forward to all of that. But yeah, with that, how are you doing, Shannon? How's things with you this morning?
Well, like I said, I had a cold last Friday. Thought I was getting better from the cold. Then it kind of got worse. But now I think I've turned the corner. I got, a good solid, like 8 hours of sleep last night. So I'm
Good
feeling
deal.
feeling okay.
Good.
And hey, looks like we got someone from the EU. We got Yankee
Ooh,
Oscar 3 Golf November uniform. Yankee Oscar, I want to say, is that like Romania or something? Maybe they can
wow.
come back in chat and let us know.
Yeah, that was very much so. Let's definitely say hello there. Don't be afraid. So all good stuff today. We've got some really good stuff to get into, like I alluded to. But, as we kind of like to do, we're going to focus on some of our stuff today that we like to get everybody caught up on before we get into the deep nuts and bolts discussion. So every week, I just always like to let folks know we try to keep this this stream ad free there, so it doesn't interrupt any of your viewing pleasure there. But obviously, we don't usually see a whole lot from the ad revenue anyway. So what I'm trying to do is offer all alternatives to obviously help you guys to be able to help support the channel at the same time, keep us running, and being able to keep the lights on and do all of the great stuff that we do here. So we've got a nice goal set up there in the chat there, and I just wanted to allude. So we've been kind of doing some cool stuff in the background. We've seen an incline or a takeoff of people wanting to do. Thank you, Bob. Dude, sweet, excellent. I always appreciate that. He already picked that up, and I haven't even put the goal out there for what it's actually gonna look like. So now I'm gonna have to speed up the conversation here. I've been working with some other individuals to create some we'll say brew and activate branded stuff. And so what I wanted to do was offer to you guys. We are giving away, and Bob already picked that up. So if Bob either wants to pass it on or Bob wants to, definitely take it for himself. Part of that super chat was for a branded hat here. And so let me bring it up to full view. So we've got Shane has been doing some awesome stuff for us for Brew and Activate. And so he created this hat for us. So we're going to start having this hopefully in the store and available. For you guys to pick up. But Bob, obviously the one put in for the main super chat, is the winner of this hat. So Bob, this is coming your way for sure. Yeah, looks like Bob does want the hat there.
An
Excellent.
important question on the hat, is that a snapback hat?
There's only one type of good hat, and I know Grouch is going to give me crap for that, but there's only one good hat, and that's a snapback hat, period.
All right, just wanted to double check.
Exactly. Well, so that is off to Bob, in the mail. So love to see, folks be able to get that stuff there. But we've got some more stuff to give away, obviously, today, because there's some really cool things going on. And I haven't seen anything. Have you seen anything at all in the chat, Shannon? No. Okay.
Well, I have to tell you something. I know we sort of like pre-discussed this before the show about a certain special day that occurred for both of us this week. And somebody did actually already mention it in chat, and that was Rabbit Ham. He
Mhm.
asked if I had
Ah.
a good birthday. So
Mhm.
I don't know what you had planned for that,
Mm.
but and I did say in the Live Free and Ham Discord, make sure you don't miss the birthday extravaganza episode of Brew and Activate.
Well, there you go. So yeah, we're gonna let the cat out of the bag. So we've got some things. So like I said, Shane QBF Shane out of the Hemrio Clubhouse created that hat, obviously, for me. But he also did a couple other things too. So we've got a couple little quick giveaways that we're going to do. So as a way to say, thank you again for all the birthday wishes from both Shannon and I, because we're both January babies, the New Year's kind of, crew. So, we appreciate all of the thanks and love from you guys on that. So, as a way to kind of give back, we've got some cool little things that we're going to be giving away today. And so before I dive into all of the admin type stuff here, let's kind of just get over to that. So let me get rid of this one here. Why is this not removing? I don't know. Well, I don't know what it's trying to map itself to. Okay, so let's bring in our giveaway here. So Shane has been working. Oh, now it finally disconnected. There we go. All right, now we're big full view. Shane had done a couple of special runs for me for, again, Brew and Activate. And so we're going to be giving away for the next 3 people, and we'll do 3 separate runs of the giveaway machine here, a custom one-off Brew and Activate koozie here. So this works for both hot and cold beverages, and is definitely something you want to have with you when you're out there activating to keep your beverage, very nice and warm over there, or nice and cool, and still be able to make those contacts. So let's start up the lovely giveaway machine here, and I'll bring that in. And so you're going to throw, if you haven't done these giveaways before, we just say, go ahead, put # B-Day Brew in the chat there to get into the giveaway there. And what we'll do is we'll run this 3 times after we've accumulated a few here. That way we'll give away the first 3 that come up, and you guys will get the first run of these koozies for Brew and Activate. So let me get this fired up here. So start, reset. Okay, so go ahead and start throwing that into the chat there, and this should start to scroll through. So good deal. And we'll let that run while I go through our little preliminary kind of catch-up stuff, just so folks know how they can get in touch, how they can be part of the Brew Crew community here. So as always, we have we'll say podcast. And I've mentioned in the past that we started that podcast, and it's basically just our shows here that we do week to week. For those that obviously can't be here on a Friday morning because of their job or some other activity. So yeah, we've got the podcast that's available out there for folks. And, we are now finally listed in the directory. So you can find us on all of the, most popular podcast players. Just search for Brew and Activate, and we'll come up there. Just look for our logo and, subscribe. And I'm always looking for feedback. So please, if you want to just let us know what you think of the podcast, feel free. Now you can take reviews on there. And if you do share them with us, we'll definitely share them here on the show. But appreciate all the feedback, and hopefully folks are enjoying that alternative option to this live stream if they can't make it. And we Shannon and I both enjoy hearing all of that feedback too as well. All right. The other stuff, you can always head over to our storefront at livefreeandham.com/shop. There's some great Brew and Activate stuff over there. But with that, we actually have some special stuff. Shannon's been busy in the background creating some new stuff. And so she, we want to bring that to your attention. So, Shannon, if you want to fire up your screen real quick, we'll bring it in here.
Apparently, we're going to show that now. Okay.
Yeah. Why not? Unless you want to devote half the show to it, it's up to you.
No, it's okay. We can show it now, I guess.
Okay. All right. There we
Yeah,
go.
so I have been busy creating shirts for you guys. I know we had talked about this last week on the show, making a shirt that was inspired by bum equipment. So we have a ham equipment shirt now for all of your 1990s, 1980s nostalgia needs. Comes in a variety of colors, and it comes in a t-shirt version as well as a sweatshirt version for people who prefer the long sleeve sweatshirts, as well as, we got the YL POTA Party shirts still going strong. This thing has been flying off the shelves, Eric can tell you. So make sure you get in on your International Women's Day YL POTA Party sweatshirt or t-shirt. And of course, the real MVP of any POTA activation is the POTA wagon. So POTA, this is how I roll with a sweatshirt and t-shirt version as well. And if you have an idea for a t-shirt, then, give us a shout out and let us know, and we'll try to make that happen. I'm still going to be working on that muff and luff and the good stuff in the middle shirt from last week too, the ham sandwich.
Yeah, yeah. Shannon has got the knack there when it comes to creating shirts, and so I'm gonna throw a shirt idea in there because I'm a big hoodie wearer, and so I'm gonna say I'd love to see the POTA roll, and I would wear the POTA roll one in your honor if you put it on the back of a a sweatshirt, not a sweatshirt, a hoodie. I'm a hoodie guy, and so if you're so inclined, you want to throw that in the store, I'll definitely put in for that one for myself, just because why not?
All right. I'll see if I can get that POTA. This is how I roll as a hoodie. Wouldn't the hood block the picture though if it's on the
Just
back?
make
I
it
don't
a
know. Did we lose Eric? He's frozen on my screen.
There we go. I should be back now.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So just FYI, I've come to find out Comcast in the area has had been, we'll say, stealing our money because they haven't been maintaining their equipment. And so power supplies are starting to fail in very large regions here in the Northeast that are basically keeping the internet up and running. So I've been having like random outages like 3 or 4 times a day. So, hopefully they're going to get their act together and clean things up and internet will be back to where it is. But, we'll see, knock on wood. And, I'm not ready to make the switch to a different provider yet because I don't have to deal with the other alternatives that are out there. It's all garbage. So anyway, sorry about that interruption there. So yeah, the hoodies, I'm a tall guy. So in essence, wherever you put it, it'll definitely have enough space there to get its full, glory off the back of the shirt. So all good there. So, yep. All right. Well, we got a couple other things here as well as those things that keep flying by. So those who just joined the chat this morning, we are doing a giveaway, a couple of giveaways, 3 giveaways to be specific, of our new Brew and Activate first run of the koozies there. So if you want to get in on it, we will run, put in the chat there, B-Day Crew, # all caps to get in on the way to get your first run of the free koozies that, of the koozies, I should say, that we have that will be coming in the store soon. And so, as always, just, hey, if you can help support, we're trying to get Shannon, definitely some more subscribers and views there to her channel. So please, like, share, subscribe, head on over her channel. And I am also reaching my 5,000 mark there. So I'm probably a bit off. So if you can definitely share, because we're going to be doing another huge giveaway for my 5,000 subscribers. So love to have you guys all be a part of that. So keep an eye out in the future and definitely share and like this so we can get closer to that goal sooner than, we've been doing now. And as always, if you love what you see here, make sure you hype us. That's the new thing. That's all what the kids are doing, as they say. So, I'd say, please hype the show there. It gets us out into more views and more people get to get more POTA content. So, it's a win-win-win for everybody. And I think lastly, here we go. As always, heck, I have a lot of folks that support us and my channel as well. And so, definitely go over and Patreon the Mad Dog, Reliance, Halibut Electronics, and Spool Tenna. All those guys have either supported the show directly or indirectly, and so definitely do the same. And you can always head over to my website to check out all the discounts there, and get a couple of easy ways to save on your next antenna purchase or whatever you're looking to pick up in the future. All right. So with that, I think let me kill the heat here, because I'm starting to sweat. There we go. We're going to roll the counter giveaway machine here. So if any more last minute, anybody else want to put in here? What do we got? A total of 19 in there. And how many in the counter? Let's see here. Okay, cool. Just 13. So not bad. Oh, what the heck? Did I go away?
What? No,
I
you're
didn't
there.
go. Oh, weird. My YouTube stream crashed on me. Sure, why not? Typical Friday. Okay. All right. So let's kick off the counter here. How did I get in there? All right. Start. first one to receive our lovely brew and activate koozie. I guess set the timer too far.
Do, do, do,
I know, right? We need we need Jeopardy music. And Ham Man.
Hey, yay!
Okay,
I thought you were
cool.
gonna win it for a minute.
Yeah,
That would
me
have been
too.
pretty funny.
If any of the members of the show win it, no way. All right, so let's do it two more times here. Let's run the counter one more time there. Hamman's got the first one there.
Get those last minute hashtags in.
If you haven't yet, definitely do. Yeah, we definitely need the Jeopardy music, something in the background. All right, our next one, pick one up, is Roger.
Yay, Roger!
All right, Roger, and then our last.
Wait, do we want to wait and do one towards the end of the show? Some more people may join.
Okay, all right, fine. We'll do that. If you're gonna be, inviting everybody in, I'm okay. Yeah, we'll wait till that last one. We'll come back to the screen here.
Yeah, so tell your friends to come join the stream and watch the stream if they want to win a brew and activate can koozie. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Did we lose Eric again? Oh my goodness.
Damn internet. I hate Comcast. This is going to be the I Hate Comcast show today. I'm going to change the title. You're making me decide that I'm going to be calling up, Consolidated. All right. Anyway. Okay. So we are going to roll into our next segment here that Shannon truly loves here. And this is our... Excellent. Well, this is the POTA Minute, folks. We've got something for this week. This is kind of apropos for what we're going to be talking about today when we were talking about radios and audio and whatnot. This kind of goes hand in hand. And I think what we're going to do here as well is to, maybe pick this up as a topic in the future. So if you're interested in, getting a little nerdy, I've been kind of getting down the rabbit hole here a little bit when it comes to, did I spell resonance wrong? That looks weird to me. I don't know. No, that's right. Okay. So, come on, grammar. Where's my grammar teacher here? Is that right? Google it. Just looks really weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just the font. Either way, we're going to talk today for the POTA Minute, talking about antenna resonance and how it kind of plays into...
Yeah, you're missing an N in there.
That's what I thought.
RESONANCE.
CE. There we go. That's why. Okay. So there we go. So, yes. See, no production quality. We don't have any QA before we start the show, so you get what you get. You don't get upset, as they say. But at least I fixed it, or in my head. All right, so we're talking antenna resonance and kind of how it impacts audio, because I think one of the things as I'm learning as a POTA operator and a ham in general is some of the stuff that we don't always kind of give attention to as operators, especially when we're just so excited to get in and start doing POTA and playing radio and making contacts and stuff like that, that we don't always think about, what antenna resonance is and how it kind of dovetails into both our audio and, how we deploy antennas and how we work to improve our station. So I'm going to do a high level here, really. These are kind of like the four things that I kind of gleaned out of antenna resonance that, are important kind of factors that kind of dovetail in how your audio gets out. Because ultimately, if you think about the fact that the last item in the chain is your antenna, where does your audio flow? It flows down the cable from the radio out to the antenna and then goes out to wherever and bounces off of clouds and a few other things. Well, if you're not able to shape that in a way that, travels the most efficiently, you're kind of throwing away good contacts possibly. So, always consider some of these things. So like resonant antennas, you hear these terms a lot. Obviously when you have a resonant antenna, that means that the antenna itself is, resonant for the frequency that you're using at that time of, when you're activating or in the moment at that point. So you want to think in terms of making your signal being more focused, like a laser beam. Anybody ever play with like one of those flashlights, LED flashlights, where you can turn the beam width and go from a very wide beam pattern to a very, very tight, narrow pattern? Thinking in those same senses with the flashlight, the more you can narrow your pattern, your focus of the signal down the cable, down through the antenna, is going to get you a better signal to noise ratio, as well as clearer audio for those that might be listening to you. And that could be the difference of a 3.3 signal report to a 5.8 kind of thing. And so, you want to, put your best foot forward when it comes to, being resident and dealing with that. Now, the other side of the coin is you're off resonance, or you maybe mismatch your antenna. I know a lot of people think like, oh, I'll just throw a tuner in the mix. Well, the tuner helps just the radio and the antenna kind of see eye to eye. It's not really doing anything more in the process, but, maybe, spending a little bit more time understanding why that is the case, then, some of the outputs of those is basically, you might have a weaker signal, you might have more noise on your line. You also have maybe a noisier signal receive, or a noisier signal when you transmit, so all of the things kind of play into, and there's small little things that make up the bigger picture in terms of how you can put your best foot forward when it comes to getting your signal out there. And then the other two options are obviously poor bandwidth. And that really kind of dovetails into the fact of like, well, hey, if you got an antenna, and you probably heard the term broad-banded antenna, well, thinking considerations like, is it better to kind of have a more focused antenna for the type of conditions or bands you're working on, or working in, I should say, not, having this antenna that kind of does everything. Like, I guess we all love more when it comes to like what we can get out of products a lot of times. So it's like, oh, I'll choose this antenna if I'm looking at two antennas and one's a monoband and the other one's a multiband. My mind's always going to go to the multiband, because I'm gonna be like, yeah, heck, I got more bands and I got more flexibility, more capability. Give me more and more and more. But, you might get more contacts off of, say, a more focused, monoband type antenna for, the application you're trying to achieve. And then the last piece is just obviously the high SWR. A lot of radios do with a 3-to-1 match. Some antenna tuners will do a 10-to-1. Yeah, you can definitely match the radio to the antenna, but in essence, that also can add to, less power down the wire out the antenna, more noise, some distortion, from around surrounding areas to be picked up more than, you might like. So talking in terms of antenna resonance, if this is something, that you want to get more into, I'm happy to do as a 5th grader version, because I think, there's some definite benefits here, and it just kind of helps cement, for me and maybe yourself, how you can really just, put all of those elements that we all physically touch and see, meaning our antennas, our coax, our radios, into actually some unified, solution that provides, you the most contacts, or gives you that, euphoric high that like, oh my gosh, I'm in a pile up for like 8 to 10 hours because people can hear me everywhere because I put those little elements together. So yeah, if it is, throw that in the chat, Shannon. If you just want to note, if folks want to pick that up as a topic in the future, I'm happy to kind of dive into more of that. And we'll do it on the 5th grader level, so folks can, walk away with something there. And let's go back to our multi-guest. No, let's just go back to our individuals here, because we'll dive back into the topic there in a bit, because we got some really cool stuff to talk about. Anything in the chat before we dive into our show stuff? Any questions or anything?
Nope, no questions. Just we're gonna start a new drinking game. Although a drinking game might be a little early for brew and activate, but
coffee brew is
I guess fine too. Yeah, we can drink coffee every time Eric's internet goes down.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, if this becomes really, really bad, I'm just gonna bite the bullet. We're going full bore. Okay. So let's kind of dive into our topic here. And I'm not going to cover too much today. I'm going to skip over a POTA bucket list, because for those that, may have or may know of it, I'm going to be sending out emails to those folks that are already on the list. So keep an eye out in your inboxes, as well as, on Discords and stuff like that, because we're going to start scheduling in the next week or so the first private stream. So looking forward to that and having some great conversation around our POTA bucket lists.
What, a private stream? Are we only
Yeah.
hamming?
Only not that private stream, my gosh. It'll be rated G. You can invite your family, promise. All right, so let's stop snippeting. Okay, so let's talk about today's topic. So we obviously, if you haven't seen the thumbnail or even the title, it's the voice that cuts through the QRM. So what are we talking about? Well, we're going to kind of talk about radios and audio. I think it's a very much overlooked topic. I don't know if people really spend a whole lot of time. I know I personally don't, tuning up radios, tweaking them, modifying audio. I remember very early on as a ham that always used to be like the thing everybody shack had. Like they always had compressors and a microphone setup that would rival a live, concert, and their audio. Like you can always tell those few hams that you still talk to that are older that their voice is so booming they sound like they're a radio broadcast.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not saying we're going to get to that level because that's just too much gear to bring out in the field, but we do have those components in a lot of the popular radios that we have out today. And so I figured this is important because as I started to, like I said and alluded to about the antenna resonance, I kind of dived down this rabbit hole a bit, and I was like, there's a lot to this, tuning of your audio and optimizing it for the purposes of being able to either punch through as a hunter, a pileup, or to be heard by stations that normally couldn't hear you because your audio wasn't optimized because it wasn't above the noise floor, or it was getting masked over by some other, adjacent signal, that type of stuff. And so, yeah, so we're going to talk around those. And so I'm going to state up front, today's episode is not about the best radio. It is really intended to help you understand your radio's potential. And so I kind of had to pick the top 3 most popular ones. This is not all encompassing, but these tend to be the most common ones that a lot of people talk about. The production studio from the 891. Yes, we'll get into that, Mr. ICOM fanboy. We will, talk about each of those radios in, their own realm. And again, it's not about a slam in any one specific radio because each of them do something a little differently. Each of them brings something different to the table. That's why we have several different manufacturers out there. That's why we have several different radios outside of feature sets and stuff like that. They also do a lot of different tuning for microphones and things of that nature. And so let's figure out how we can optimize our best foot forward with each of the gear that we might already have in our POTA bags here. So I am not going to say ICOM's better over Yaesu or Yaesu's better over, Zygu or, and I didn't even get into the KX, line of Elecrafts or everything else like that. But I figured these were the 3 big radios when it came to most of the stuff I was doing research out there. So if you want me to add to that list, funny part is I actually already put this up on the wiki there. So if you haven't already been up to the wiki and you are just hearing about it first thing, our wiki is here. Let me go grab the URL here real quick. And you can head up to there because everything I talk about that we refer to as the field guide or the POTA field guide is posted up there for everybody to pick up, use to your benefit, incorporate it into any of your stuff. It's all part of the community. So the one thing I ask is obviously you just, make reference to it so people can refer back to it so it's available and everybody gets to kind of share in the process. And if you feel so led and you want to contribute to it, please, just join in. You just need to set up and log in. And you can then, you already posted. Oh, no, I posted it. Sorry. Then, we'd love to be able to add to this and continue to make it grow, and we'll see where it kind of goes from there. But, I'm all about sharing the wealth, as they say. So.
And so Grouch brought up sort of a good
problem.
Yeah, cry about the Yaesu menus a little bit more, Grouch. But so he brings up a good point about he always gets awesome reports on the audio quality from the 7300 and the 891 audio reports don't even compare. But I always get good reports on my audio when I'm using like the FTDX10 or the FT710. It's not about, oh, this radio's better, this radio's better, this radio's better. It's about optimizing the audio for your radio. And, yes, there is a little bit of setup that you have to do on each individual radio to get it sounding as best as it possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yep.
I fully believe in having like that audio compression on, because that's gonna, compress your audio into a smaller bandwidth. And as we know, smaller bandwidth punches more power through on, the bandwidth that you are using, which is why, CW super narrow bandwidth punches through, very easily. Single sideband more efficient, less bandwidth than, like AM. And I'm sure that's something that you're going to go into,
A little bit.
here on the
Yep.
show. And then, I'll kind of throw in, where I get all my audio tips from.
Yep. And all great stuff. And so, yes, this is the circle of trust, guys. So we're not here to slam each other's radios. We're here to say, hey, if you're a Yaesu, fanboy or an ICOM fanboy, you're all loved here, man. It doesn't really matter. It's like your choice, your radio, totally fine. It all does the same thing, but I'm here to help you guys maybe optimize some of your stuff. So it actually kind of dovetails pretty sweetly here. I wanted to kind of do a quick poll here because I just love them. So I want to ask the question, how many folks have tweaked their radio audio? So go ahead. Here are the three choices. Just put in the chat there, either one of those, and we'll come back here and review it here a little bit.
Like 3 of those choices are nope. One is yes, only by accident, nada, and nope. What if
because
it's
I know
yes, I specifically went out to arrange my audio on my radio.
Oh, please don't. Yeah. I know you're the exception to the rule. So I was like talking to our general audience because I know a lot of them are not going to be in that bucket there.
Well,
So
I'm going to say
you're gonna
yes,
add
only
one?
by accident, but it
Okay.
wasn't actually by accident. I did it purposefully to make my audio the best it could be.
All right. So just to appease Shannon. Oh, boy. All right, let's add this. All right, let's make this a little bit bigger here, and then that way. Come on, let me back out. Yeah.
Well, am I allowed to change my answer?
You can if you want to. I don't know. Actually, I've never noticed if you could. All right, let's go make this a little bit bigger for those that might need it. Why can't I expand? Is it locked? No. Oh, I see why. It's cropped. There we go. So this is Shannon's answer there. So if you feel like you have to, Shannon, put in double pound signs there just for the purposes of feel one more special. So we'll let that run there a little bit in the background. Yep. See, this is exactly what I thought we were going to see here. So let me go back over to our screen here. And of course I have to fix this stupid thing, but why not? That's what we like to do here. Just so people can see what's going on here. All right. So, yeah. So to kind of get back to some of the stuff we got going on here. So, yeah, my poll here is really just to kind of get a sense of where everybody's at. There we go. Bring that to the front. Now, where is the chat? Why does the text get in on the poll? Let me get rid of that. No, that's the wrong one here. Man, I have so many things in these views. Sometimes I really don't know why.
I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of hashtag Shannons. I don't know if that's just because
so
they love me or if they really went and specifically seeked out how to adjust their audio settings. But if you went out and you specifically sought out how to adjust your audio settings, bravo, you are a true radio ham.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you are. And you're better than I.
Yes.
All right. So let's let me get rid of this here. That's the text I wanted to remove. All right. Excellent. So thank you for that little sidebar there so I could make the changes. Yeah. So ultimately, there is going to be the crowd that just gets the radio, takes it out of the box, hooks it all up and then just goes. I used to be like that. I have gotten a little bit better until I ended up having to factory reset my radio. And of course, I never wrote down any of my settings. So I went back to where I was at square one, and I haven't made the change again. But I have seen and heard that when I made those appropriate changes to my radio for audio, that my signal reports were much better. People were hearing me a lot better. I was getting the, oh my gosh, what type of antenna and radio you're running kind of conversations versus, when my factory settings were set and people are like, oh, I'm going to try to make an attempt. I think you're a 3.3 and I could barely pull you out of the noise kind of thing. Those, obviously make a difference. And as we start to do more and more activations, it's going to be something you're probably going to want to look at a little bit. And so, yeah, I'm seeing more. Shannon, I don't know. I'm going to have you guys prove this out if you're selecting Shannon's option here. You have to tell me what, settings you are running versus just accepting that Shannon, knows all and goes from there. So, yeah, let's kind of get into some of our discussion here while that's kind of plowing through. So we will go over to my slides here, and we'll start there. All right, so we're talking radio performance here. And, we are not targeting like I said, one specific radio over another. I'm going to give you kind of the top three that I did based off of a cursory chat GPT search and it finding the resources out there based off of numbers. These tend to be the top three radios that most people are using out in the field that are, either talking about or, modifying or adding to. But before we get into that, I want to kind of set the level here a little bit. And so part of that is that we're going to talk about, what we're leading up to and why, we're going to talk about this a little bit, because you have to figure out what the why is before you start putting the how or the what next. So we're going to talk, and frame this out. So who's this message for? Well, obviously we look at the poll, it's a split 50-50. You're either in the Shannon camp where, yeah, you tweak every little option setting in your radio and milk out every little bit of performance out of it, or you're the person that just takes it out of the box and, goes and plays out in the field. So we're going to talk across the board for everybody. And this goes for both activators and hunters. So whether you're a new activator and you're just catching the show for the first time, welcome. But or maybe you're a seasoned person. You go out there every week and twice on Sunday kind of thing. This can help you at least start to build a good foundation from to then just keep improving your setup and your overall activation muscles, as they say. We're going to talk about hunters because hunters have it a little easier than us, the folks out in the field, because they have a shack that's already set up and tweaked the way they want. So maybe you need to think about how can you improve your performance for the purposes of being able to punch through that pile up, or to be able to be heard when, you're getting signal reports that, in your mind aren't as, exciting as you usually get. So and then the camp of, well, why does my audio always sound bad? Well, yeah, we're going to help you out. That's part of the goal here, to make sure that when you walk away from this, you have some basis to kind of start to build from and go from there. And I'm always about making sure that we're learning from one another. So heck, if you take any of this stuff from today, head on over to the Discord and be part of the Brew and Activate community, and just, share some of your experiences with some of these changes you might have made, and do things in a methodical way. Don't just apply a whole bunch of different options like you saw on a YouTube channel somewhere. Try a couple different settings and then come back and see what you got for a result and figure out how it works and share that with us. All right. So why does audio matter? Because, I didn't think it did for a long time. I always just thought heck, I'm getting out there, I'm out in the field. People are there to hear me, and I could care less whether they hear me well or not. And my mindset has changed a lot now from that. I'm no longer just kind of being that I heard the words or saw the words fly around appliance operator. Even if you're an appliance operator, you still need to improve. You can press buttons on a menu and you can understand what those buttons do. And those buttons, in essence, might give you a better overall experience, both for obviously the person making contact with you and you getting your signal out. But, when it comes to dealing with what we have today and why audio matters, well, weak signals, they're a big thing. I hop on 10 meters all the time. How many of us deal with fade on 10 meters? I've seen it come and go. Like, you'll hear a station come in strong 5.9, and midway through the conversation, they'll just fade down into the noise level and you can't hear them anymore. I mean, any experiences sort of like that for you, Shannon?
I'm sorry, fading signal?
Fading. Yeah. Yeah. As an example. Yeah. I know you were in the chat. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, QSB happens, right?
Yep.
I don't know that that really has as much to do with your audio settings as it has to do with propagation, but optimizing your audio settings can certainly help to make it so that you have the best possible scenario even in the worst possible conditions, I
Yep.
guess, is how I want to put that.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that.
Control everything that you can control, and then,
Leave the rest to fate.
yeah, it's like some things you can't control, but these things I can control.
Yeah. Yeah. Sean, a couple of good, things there. I saw that ham radio have mentioned that I'm definitely going to touch upon. So it sounds like a few folks definitely have learned a couple of good tools to be able to help improve that. But we've got an issue where we only have so many bands, and so many bands means that we can, we have to use the space efficiently. A lot of times if your signal and, what you're putting out your antenna isn't efficient enough, yeah, you might be causing a little splatter. You might be causing, some bleed over to other, frequencies adjacent to you. So we have to kind of consider the fact that we have only so much of a finite space to operate in. So being efficient with your audio, which also then translates into how your audio gets converted into bandwidth out to, the world, is all important. So, that all starts, like Shannon said, right at the radio. And so we're hopefully going to go through some of that and help you to get started here. And so that's kind of, and then first impressions. I mean, usually you have a foot, like when you're a hunter or, you're say an activator, and you hear a hunter come along and they're strong audio, they're loud, they aren't overdriving. They definitely have, it is, there's no static, there's no QRM on any of their signal. You tend to give them priority a lot. And so that is kind of a good thing to make sure of that you're trying to target as a hunter, but even so more as like you're out there activating, having a good, strong signal, giving that good first impression is going to draw people that, might hear you on the band because they're spinning the knob versus being just, okay or mediocre, which would then may not give you that opportunity that you're expecting to get that pile up or to be able to make contacts for the park. What makes good audio? Well, yeah, we're going to get into definitely some of the nuts and bolts there by each of the radios, but clean versus loud. I mean, how many times you've heard a YouTuber where they're overmodulating their mic, versus having it very clean and you can hear it and it's like pleasant to your ears. Same thing goes for radio. Mic choice over power. I know this happens a lot because you hear the old debate of like, oh yeah, 100 watts all day versus 20 watts. You can be efficient at 20 watts and you can be efficient at 100 watts. There's not really much in terms of the signal to noise ratio in terms of both dB and a few other things, but it's what you have and making the best out of that scenario with what's presented in front of you. So if you've got a 20 watt radio like a G90, we're going to work towards helping you modify, improve that, understand the characteristics of the radio, and then be able to optimize it for your voice, for you being able to get out there and become a strong station. I mean, wouldn't it be cool that if some of this stuff you could take with you out in the field, make your change to G90 and all of a sudden get signal reports back going, man, you sound like you're, broadcast quality, like what's going on? Not that, you could get to those levels. I'm not saying that's a guarantee. I'm just going to put that up front. Like any of the stuff I'm giving here, suggestions and ways to improve your radio with the purpose that, you're making your audio better each time. Other things, gain settings, staging. Shannon alluded to that in her radio. I use those a lot. I mean, ACL is a big thing. You hear those three letters a lot. Those all mean something in terms of how you drive your audio and what you do with it. And, other things like DSPs. We all have them in some form or fashion. There's like kind of the magic, they've been touted as the magic carpet of things, but they don't fix everything. So, don't just rely on them as like a one fixed switch. It's more of a, let's use it as a tool in the tool kit. And then the last one, antennas and grounding. I won't get into too much detail with that because you can get into craziness, and that's why I alluded to the antenna resonance piece, because this is kind of a rabbit hole I've been going down and trying to learn more. So, if that's something that people want to get more involved in, we can definitely talk around that and how grounding and, your antenna, both physical design and how you implement it and stuff like that all play into it.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point there that a couple things. Loud does not equal good. For any of you audiophiles out there, my Peter was a little bit of an audiophile, even if he wouldn't admit it. And he always used to complain that when older albums would get remastered or new albums that come out, they master them so loud that then you're losing dynamic range and you actually end up clipping
Yeah.
audio and sound off the top, right? And it gets staticky and gross sounding and it's not good.
Right.
So loud does not necessarily mean good. And the other thing is, like you were saying with, oh, the G90, 20 watts, or your FT710, your ICOM 7300, whatever it is, 100 watts, you can still get a 5 and 9 signal report on a G90 with 20 watts
Yeah.
or a ICOM or a Yaesu at 100 watts. So, I mean, the power itself doesn't always make the biggest difference.
Right.
It's about, the signal strength and the audio quality and readability.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Totally. All of them. It's funny as we get into ham radio, and maybe you've had this similar experience. When you first get in the hobby, like you're just like, I just want to play radio. I want to get in and do it. I want to, get the hands-on kind of stuff. But then, we never take that next logical step because either we don't have a mentor or, there's no Elmer around, or we're not as, we're not engaged in, where we can talk to people that are sometimes smarter than us that have some of that stuff that want to share that information. So, we lean on YouTube and stuff like that, which is all great, but you're only getting a little piece of it. And so you got to try to learn as you go, like, hey, what are these all extra added menus mean to me? And what can they benefit, me in my activation or using the radio? And so, think in those terms, and your radio will go farther for you if you're like, hey, let's take that next step, try, one of the equalizer settings, or try, fooling around with your ACL when it comes to, a sideband signal, those things. And little steps will get you, that much closer to feeling like you're more confident with your radio. Like, I'm going to, toot Shannon's horn here. Like, 24-hour POTA, she sat down in front of both DX10s and she tweaked them the way they should have been, because they were both set for factory, and one was Todd's and one was my dad's. And like, they were just, they never got optimized. And once she did, the things were humming along. They were working great. We were getting really good audio reports from them. But that's someone who knows that radio and knows how to optimize it appropriately to be able to make it be efficient and, very useful when it's out in the field. So, my hat's off to you, Shannon, for, taking that on.
Thank you,
Okay,
Eric.
so you have no problem. So let's talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses. So like I alluded to again, this is not an all-encompassing kind of thing. So we're talking most of the three popular radios that we see, and there are other radios that I haven't mentioned, like the Ellercraft, the 710, those things like that. But these tend to be the kind of the most popular ones that I was seeing in some of my research and going through this. So we're going to talk IC705, FT891, and the Xiegu G90, or Xiegu, however you want to pronounce it, your choice. Please feel free to lambaste me in the comments if I've said that improperly. So yeah. These are kind of some of the summaries, and I kind of want to break down. And these aren't all encompassing. These are just my opinions of the radios as I see them. IC705, big, great DSP. They've got menu heavy, but menu heavy in a way that's intuitive for the user. And they have some very good studio quality potential. If you tweak that 705 properly, you will get amazing audio reports out of the radio. But a lot of folks, when they have them, they don't always take that little extra time to tweak that option. They're always, maybe looking at it from a different angle of like, how do I connect to the antenna? How do I use the feature set? That type of stuff. So again, focusing on just the audio side of it, both for receive and transmit, that's kind of where the 705 stands out a little bit. FT891. we all know it's a strong, punchy radio. I love my 891. Like, if I don't do anything to the settings, I can still, from my voice, be able to get a good, signal report in most cases. If I optimize a little bit more, I cut down on overdriving, I cut down on clipping, I definitely cut down on, the audio being the difference of being in the noise to being above the noise, those type of stuff. But that radio, as everyone has already said in the chat, menus suck. It's a little unforgiving in terms of being simplistic. Totally fine, but it's very manageable. If you're an 891 owner, the menu settings, if you understand the groupings, make things much easier. Is it as easy as you being able to press 2 buttons to go 2 menus deep? No, you just scroll through a whole entire list. Well, that, Hakuna Matata, whatever. And then the last one, I haven't had hands on it, and I apologize. I was looking, when I first got in the hobby, that was kind of one of the radios that I was looking at, but then the 891 kind of showed up, and I said, 100 watts is better, let's go, and ended up going that route. But the G90, big budget beast, everybody recommends them. They're always popular radios, especially during, the sales and holidays. People always love them. And they sell them, and then they come back, to them because they're great little workhorses for what they offer, in both feature sets and size and capability. But with that comes with a trade-off. You may not get stronger audio, you may not get more bandwidth out of it, you may not be able to optimize some of those features to your benefit based off of your scenario. So just keep that in mind. It's definitely something, that will affect how you, deliver, your audio signal out there. But all of it brings, pros and cons here. So anything in the chat there, Shannon? We just keep plugging away here.
No, Ed just said, or he asked, you talking 2 different things. Do you want broadcast quality or punching through audio that are 2-way different things?
There are.
Jeremy said he has 2 different menu settings, one for Rag2 and one for contest or POTA.
Yeah,
So
there you go. That's a good idea. Yep. Yeah, we'll touch on a little bit of I know Shannon, Jabberjaw Shannon mentioned she's got all of her settings written down, so she can go through her 891 and appropriately, make those changes based off of, the scenario that she's in. Yes, there is 2 different ways to tackle this. The broadcast stuff is definitely, to get to broadcast audio requires a whole, we'll say a series of things you need to do. And with it comes, some cost involved with it. Not to say that it can't be done on most radios, but in essence, to get to that level, yeah, you definitely have to have some investments. But we're thinking in terms of being out in an activation, being outdoors in the field, or if you're in your home shack, broadcast audio is something to target for because you can afford the investment, you can work towards building it, and you can keep it all in one place and, be able to leverage it as you need, based off of what you're trying to, attempt for contacts and stuff. So all good points there.
And in terms of Shannon writing down her audio settings, that is a great thing to have in your analog paper logbook. Maybe have that front page where you list your audio settings that you're using for your POTA activation. So you can just double check and make sure that, your sneaky husband hasn't changed your audio settings in any way. Oh, I think we lost Eric again. So everybody better take a drink because I think Eric's, oh boy, Eric's
there we go.
stuff.
Okay, everybody drink. Come on,
Yo,
drink
everybody
now.
drink.
Let's go. I literally saw that happen like a car accident in slow motion. Oh my gosh, I'm so done with Comcast. All right, so before we do that, let's just quick over the poll there. I want to see where we stand. So, yeah, okay. Well, it's obvious we very much have almost a 50-50 split there. I do want to find out the two folks that did by accident, because yes, if you can figure out how to replicate it, you actually might be in one of the 2 other camps there. So that is always a challenge. But yeah, it's kind of how I figured the split would look. I mean, obviously that we added that second category for Shannon's purposes, and there are a few there. Thank you guys. Appreciate the 705. Of course, Mike, a 705 chat. So
And
thank you again for the super chat.
I just wanted to check, Eric, for the new people that came in because we have 29 viewers now. Are people able to put in that hashtag BDayBrew at any time and it will add them to the
I
giveaway?
think so. Let me go to our quick. Where's that view here? I always lose it.
So for those of you who just joined us, we're having a special birthday giveaway of a Brew and Activate can koozie. So if you'd like to get in on that, you need to put your hashtag BDayBrew into the chat. So I'll put that in both the chats so that you guys know what to put in and get in on that because we'll be running that giveaway at the end of the show here.
Yep. So BDayBrew, there we go. So feel free to join back in there, and before we close out, we will go back to that for the last koozie to give away. And again, this is a limited run, like Shannon may have alluded to. So if there's more after we give all of ours away that you want, let me know, and I'll make sure we add it to the store there. Shane over at the clubhouse does these himself, so definitely good quality. And if you want to see this on a hat version, and I alluded to that before, because Bob Koff ended up getting it. We will actually have a hat option too as well. So if you want to see that again, let me know. I can post that up there. All right, so let's go back to our screen share here. All right, so let's get into the nuts and bolts that you've been waiting for. Let's talk radios. So we're going to talk, obviously, ICOM first, since that was the top of the list. Again, in no specific order here. This, again, is just all kind of the initial breakdown. So I will spend some time if there's a desire for folks, and actually I'm going to say this up front. I'm actually putting together a video on my channel specifically of these 3 radios, and we'll go through each of the menus there, show you some before and after of the audio. And so, pay attention to my channel. That hopefully will be launching soon on the Patreon and YouTube member. So if you're a YouTube member, you get to see it before it goes to the public, but this will be out there. So if you want to see how these radios work before and afters with all of these audio tweaks, then definitely keep an eye out for that. And if you haven't already, subscribed to the channel there and hit that notification bell so you get notified when things go live. Okay, so with our radio setups here, so this is ICOM 705. It was a very popular radio, great little QRP style radio, very feature packed, but we're not here to talk about the features. We're here to just talk about your audio settings. We're going to break these into 2 different categories, obviously transmit audios and receive audio. And so in that video, I go into each of these settings through the menus and then show you each of the functions and how they work. I didn't want to do that here because we could have gone for 4 or 5 hours easily. And some of us have jobs and a bunch of other stuff for Friday. But that video coming out. So with our transmit settings here, I don't know if you guys can see that text or it's a little too small, but if it isn't, it looks good. This stuff is all available, again, up on the wiki. So I'm not hiding any of the stuff. You can see all of this transmit audio settings. So if you want to take this after the fact and you're watching this on replay, head up to that wiki. And you can grab it there under the activator section, and it'll be available there for you. So we're going to break this down into a couple of settings. So transmit audio falls into kind of mic gain, compression, bandwidth, speech, and then the monitor. And the monitor audio is more of just using the record features or being able to hear yourself using the monitor option. Some radios have that capability. I think the ICOM 705 obviously does. You're going to start very conservatively, I think, in terms of the settings. So I don't know what the factory settings are. As I finish the videos, those will be in that video as well. So you'll have the before and after comparison. Set your mic at 34%. The ACL is, again, that the audio level control is what ACL stands for. If you have never figured that out on your radio.
Wouldn't that be ALC?
Yes, ALC. Yeah. Didn't I say that?
You said AC. You've been saying ACL the whole time.
Yes. Yeah, I'm thinking my, torn ACL. Thank you. Well, just correct me, man. Thank you. So the ALC is basically going to be barely moving on the radio. And a lot of these kind of sound familiar to like similar FT8 settings and the like. So you're going to start there, and then after that, you're going to get into your compression settings, dealing with setting your compression lower in terms of what factory might be set to. And then the one trigger that I found and a lot of stuff that I kept reading is turn off DX compression. I don't know why, but apparently it overdrives. It causes your audio to be a lot more, we'll say, punchier, but distorted in some cases, depending on how your voice is in general. So start there, turn it off. If you have to fall back to that, then do so. But, try to start with the minimalist settings you can and then build from there. TX bandwidth, sideband, most of the areas that we're going to spend are pretty much, in this range. And then, which I thought was interesting, this one, if if you're trying to get into the DX, which basically the pile up. So when we're talking in the mindset of doing, POTA, these might be good settings for, hertz ranges for your audio level that might give your voice a little bit more punchier sound versus a higher, pitched, higher range, vocal range. And then, these other two settings is start flat, start basic. Again, this is very much, taking the factory settings, setting them to a good foundation, then building from there. The last piece is, monitor your output. There is, like I said and mentioned earlier, there's buttons there for you to be able to hear your audio, record it. I think even Hef noted something, and actually I noted in the pro tip here, that, use an external SDR. There are a bunch available. You can pull them up on your phones a lot of times when you're out in the field. If you want to do this out in the field, I've done it. You just basically, find a close by or a semi close by, SDR that you can hear yourself as you're making, audio transmissions, and then, just record it from there. And, you can get a better idea of how you might sound to someone who, is looking to receive you. And then receive settings, DSP noise reduction, turn it down, notch filters. AGC is automatic gain control. And that's basically the gain of your mic. So kind of keep that for sideband right in the middle. Probably good for most scenarios themselves. And then they always say highly recommended as headphones. That's a crapshoot, depending on how good your ears are. I've worked with Keith, AC1RH. I don't know if he's in the chat. He doesn't wear headphones, but man, he can hear you ever watch Down Periscope with the guy who's like, Sonar is his name, and he hears like the smallest voice, like that's 7 miles away. Like Keith is a lot like that. So, I find, people, have good hearing. You might not need a set of headphones, but if you're in a noisy environment, always good to kind of have with you. Helps you kind of really hear those, that audio from a, either above or below the noise floor kind of thing. Anything you want to throw in there, Shannon? Anybody in the
No,
chat?
I was just gonna say, I think Hef had mentioned that, and someone else had mentioned about, listening to yourself on a SDR to see how your own audio sounds. And of course, you can always ask a friend to listen on
Yeah.
frequency and see, if they can hear you. How do you sound? Does it sound like yourself? Um, because we want to sound like ourselves on the radio, right? I guess
Yep.
maybe
Yeah.
some of us.
Some of
Maybe,
us do.
maybe some of us want to try to give that, YL timbre to their voice that they don't have it naturally. Not
Yeah.
naming any names.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Is Tortoise in the chat? I didn't see it. Anyway. All right. So yeah, again, we already alluded to the pro tip is that, hearing your audio might be a little nerve-wracking the first time, but it's a good way to be able to understand how you're actually sounding. So don't look at it as like, oh my gosh, my voice sucks. Listen to it as like, oh, I can hear the highs, I can hear the lows, I can, I can hear the actual enunciation kind of thing. All of that's all good. All right, now into one of my favorite radios because I have several of them. I know Shannon's very much a Yaesu user too as well, and there's a bunch obviously in the chat too as well. Great radios, good versatility. These tend to be one of those radios that people either love to hate or just kind of tolerate, as my phrase goes. But with that, I've tried these settings, and I have to say, so far, I'm quite happy. And I used these settings on a recent video that I have up on my members. It's currently up for the YouTube members right now on the Rybakov review I did, Matt's Vertical. I had these settings set in the radio. And man, the signal reports on top of obviously the antenna performance, they were like, they were a perfect match, and they worked out great. Audio reports were really solid. It was really, really good to see that some of these changes that I made were definitely effective, and I now have to apply them to actually my truck radio now that I remember that. But yeah, lower your mic gain. These radios are very, like, the setting that comes with the factory is higher than I like. I find if you're one of those side mic, kind of people that you get the side tilt, it might benefit you a little bit better. But if you're a, like, eat the mic kind of thing, making sure your mic gain's down lower than what the factory settings will probably go a lot farther for you than some of the reports you might be getting where you're like blah, 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 muffled kind of thing. So keep that in sign. So processor compression, that's the ones labeled proc that everyone's like, what's that mean? Basically setting that to 2.3, again, watching ALC. Did I get that right? Yeah, I got that right. Changing the speech EQ. This is one of those things, I won't go over the act settings in there, but this is that menu setting that everybody gets panicked about. But if you go down into the EQ settings, they're pretty well clearly defined as to what you want to tweak, and just slight changes. Don't like turn it all the way down or turn it all the way up. Find a happy ground, do a little bit of change, document it, see how it goes, and then make changes over time. Don't none of this stuff, and I should have phrased this earlier, none of this is instantaneous, microwave kind of changes. These are all gradual, all meant to be a little bit here, a little bit there. See how it works out, and just keep a running log. I know a lot of folks already said that they do a lot of running logs and that type of stuff. Yeah, just do that with the idea that you're making progress to get to where you are, and then when you're happy, document it. A lot of these radios don't have. Well, the 705's got an SD card, which I don't know if you can save to, but if you can save those settings out, you've now saved your bacon. I know the 891 does not have that capability, and that kind of sucks, because I would love to be able to set all of those FT8 settings, CW settings, audio settings, and write that to a memory card and not have to think about it. But no, you got to jot them down. And then the last one is ACL. Sorry, I did it again.
Eric's internet went down. I think
I don't do this.
Everybody drink.
Oh no, damn it. Oh, all right. Back now.
Yeah.
No?
You
Still?
just went.
Okay.
No,
All right,
you're
we're
good.
back.
You just went choppy for a minute.
Oh, okay. I blipped. All right. So, making sure you watch your ALC. I don't do this on my radio. I've just started doing that because I figured, it's only an ICOM issue. I don't have to worry about it. No, it affects all of our radios. We all need to understand it. We all need to know how to optimize it and use it for its best advantage for the scenario you're in. Last piece is the receive audio setup. So contour, DNR, shift, and external speaker. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But contour, DNR, and shift. Shannon, you use any of those modes on your Yaesus?
Oh, yeah. So, I actually have to go through on my 891 because I'm not sure if I went through and set all the settings on the 891, but definitely the 710, definitely the FTDX10. I've gone through and set all the settings. And some of them you do have to watch out because some of them are set per band. So you might need to go through and set it up for 10 meters, 12 meters, 15 meters, et cetera, et cetera.
Good point.
Hamman just said he only pays attention to ALC on digital modes. So, I always have my ALC set for SSB. I always have that set to slow. For digital modes, I have it set to fast or auto. So, you definitely want to have that ALC set. It helps to level out the audio between the stronger signals and the weaker signals, and kind of helps to even out when there is QSB as well.
Yeah, and that's that whole shift width thing that I never really took advantage of until I understood really what it gave me for an advantage. A lot of times it's like, 3K is what I want to set to. I'm going to crank that all the way up and leave it. And it's like, I'm not really using it to the advantage of you could operate in a 2.4 or 2.7 and get better benefit both for your signal going out and the receive signal in, because you're not having to deal with splatter from other adjacent frequencies, that type of stuff. Always good to understand those modes and take the time to learn them, because they'll benefit you, especially on a very, we'll say, support your parks weekend. You're out there, you want to be able to narrow yourself down because you're trying to find a small little space to participate in. Those modes, those tools will help you, get better and be able to optimize. Now, last one is external speaker. The Yaesu 891 speaker is perfectly fine for my ears, but I know a few folks that have had some issues with it being either too flat or not enough, dynamic range in it. It's a speaker that's probably, 10 years old, 11 years old, so the technology in it's not as good as, say, something in a 705 or, some other, Elecraft type radio or even the 710s where they have a lot of those newer, DSP type modes to be able to boost audio, both low and high frequency sets to be able to build a better sound stage. So yeah, it's something to consider. Obviously, if you think you're, struggling to hear, especially outdoors, and you don't have a headset and you want to be able to, as Ted alluded to in the chat earlier, where he likes to see and know what's going on around him all the time without feeling like he's, having someone sneak up behind him kind of thing. Maybe an external speaker will help you in that sense. And then just run it to the volume level that you can control and be able to pick things out. The big mistake with the 891 that a lot of us do, and I'm very much in that same boat, too much mic gain, splatter, and you get a lot of those. Your audio might be rough. If you get those reports, then the two indicators is go back to the mic gain, make sure that's a little lower, adjust that, and then work on seeing where your proc is or the compression is. If the compression's on, turn it off. If it's not on, maybe you need to turn it on, or adjust the, it as appropriately. So, three good areas to kind of start from and build from there. And like I said, if we want to get into more of this detail after I get the video out, if people have more questions, which I'm sure they will, we can definitely pick this back up again and see where we go. All right, last one is the G90. Haven't had any experience with this radio. I know it's a very popular radio. I know Mike N2MAK loved it so much he went back to go pick one up again because he missed it that much after he sold his first one. But great little radio, a lot of feature set, good starter base radio to get out there and start doing portable operations. Mic gain, compression, and bandwidth are kind of the three areas that you're going to be able to play around in. And adjust them appropriately. Again, small steps go a long way. So play around with what I have suggested here, and then add adjustment as you see fit, but do it over time. Last one is speak across the mic. This is the old, tilt. What's the phrase? Tilt the mic as you're, is there a phrase? I don't know. There's a phrase. I can't remember what it is. But either way, making sure you speak across the mic instead of into it, because the way the design of the mic is, can definitely distort some of your audio there and definitely help in the process. Watch me have to sell the G92. Hopefully you don't, man. Just stop updating the firmware on it and you'll be happy. All right. Anything in there that we want to add to that before I get into the receive stuff? I don't see.
No, just Handman was saying my presumption was that if the ALC is in check, that would take care of that, no splattering or overdriving. But my understanding is that ALC is only for the receive audio, that the processing, the compression, the mic gain, that is all for the
That's the
transmit audio.
You're right.
And again, same thing that we were saying about, I think compression should always be on. That, again, that's going to compress your voice into that smaller bandwidth that is going to cause it to punch through the airwaves more. And then processing, it's going to process and optimize your voice. And
but keep in mind with those two areas is that if you're yelling into the mic and you're already overdriving it, you're going to compress an overdriven signal even more because you're compacting it down where it's already overmodulated. So
well, that's why you got to that's why you got to optimize your mic gain. You don't need to,
right.
You don't need to have your mic gain turned up to 11. Louder is not better.
No, you are not Spinal Tap.
Yeah, we don't want to clip our audio, guys.
Nope. 100%. That is not going to, that's going to very much be overdriven and overmodulated and going to be one of those people that are going to be a sad person. Not a sad ham, but a sad person because you're not getting out. All right. Receive setups. IF width. That's, I always forget what the IF stands for. It's intermediate frequency or something like that. It's very, Someone correct me in the chat there. I can't remember what IF stands for. You're going to adjust the width. Basically, it's the width of your overall signal, both in this case, it's receive. So how much you're bringing in versus sending out. Noise blinker. This we have this on the 891. I only use it a lot of times to bat down, like, say, engine noise and that type of stuff. But obviously, the noise blanker here on the G90 is a really good option to be able to help with batting down, interference externally or stuff that's being picked up on your antenna. And they also recommend, going with an external speaker or headphones with your G90. I don't think the audio, and maybe the folks in the chat who are G90 owners can tell me whether or not the audio is super great on there, but I remember sitting down in one at a POTA and I had the volume cranked all the way up and I still couldn't really fully hear the audio well, from it. So, might be worthwhile to add an external speaker to that to be able to get a better, listening experience. And then last thing is pro tips. G90 shines when you optimize the receive filtering. So work on that first, I think, was a good start, and then work towards, changing your mic settings and, how you do your transmit, and you'll have a very well optimized, good foundation to start from. All right, let's dive. This last piece I kind of threw in here real quick. Outside of dealing, because we all use the stock microphones, we all use the stock stuff that comes with the radio. Well, you might want to maybe consider, picking up maybe a Heil headset, which has the mic options, because they tend to have a better dynamic range mic in those things. They're built a little better. They are pricey, but in essence, you're going to get that better audio quality. So when you make the changes on the radio, you might not have to have so much gain because the headset's already driving it for you. Or if you're into like a very windy area, like you're at the beach, I mean, I've done a few activations where the wind just picks up, having, screens, dead cats, those type of things on your mics are always good and important to kind of knocking down that background noise. So your audio is clear and being picked up directly by the mic. And then, like we've already mentioned and alluded to, the external speakers versus the headphones debate, all good either way. Bring both if you have the capabilities, or, go whichever route is most comfortable for you. Last slide, audio tips. Well, we didn't touch upon it, although, there's definitely all of those, pros and cons and things you can do to dealing with wind noise, battery voltage during audio distortion. If your batteries are fluctuating and, dealing with issues in terms of how you transmit and what the radio can, interpret as it's getting from the battery, can also affect some of your audio distortion issues. And then logging while monitoring audio. This boils back to the SDR stuff, I think, for a little bit, but, I know I actually bumped into one ham who actually brought a tape recorder and would just record his sessions a little bit. He was doing it for two purposes. One, to obviously improve his delivery of how he, did, steps in an activation. But the other one was also to hear some of the received audio back from the people there. Similar kind of what our YouTubers do when we, record our, POTA activations and stuff like that. It's a way to be able to hear back what you're hearing and, you get a feedback loop kind of created. And then lastly, what we always already beat a dead horse to is recording yourself. Don't be afraid, listen to yourself, see what you sound like, see how you can improve. All right. Well, that is all I've got for today. So hopefully that was enough for this small session, because we did cover a lot. I will have definitely more to come, obviously, with that video I said. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And let me know your thoughts on, after you watch that, whether, it works or what I missed or what I need to cover again. Because we're probably going to talk more and more about this along the way, with the intention that we're always, trying to improve our POTA activations, our hunting skills, and all of that. And so hopefully you got something out of this for sure.
Yeah, so, I was gonna throw out there, so this is where I got a lot of my audio settings for almost all my radios. Is, if any of you guys know, November for Hotel, November Hotel, N4 H&H. He is a ham radio operator. He has a YouTube channel. I'm gonna drop the link to his channel in the
Yep.
chat, and he has great videos on how to set up the transmit and receive audio on almost any radio. So, that's the first place that I go when I get a new radio, to see how he set up the radio and what he recommends, because he really understands all those different audio settings in terms of, like, our voice only, human voice is only between, this megahertz and this megahertz, and our ears can only hear between this megahertz and this megahertz. So having your receive audio filter set too wide, you're hearing things that you can't even hear, or you're transmitting things that your voice doesn't even transmit. So you're wasting power,
Yep.
um, for that. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna drop.
he's a great reference. Take him in small bites because like his videos go very like they're long format, but they're really packed with a lot of great stuff in there. So go back, review a little bit, walk away, come back. I had to do the same thing with his stuff because he's a master when it comes to like tearing through a radio all the way from beginning to end and menus and how it works in terms of your audio and whatnot. So yeah, definitely a great resource. All right. Any last things we want to point out in the chat, or are we good to run our last giveaway there for the Brew and Activate koozie?
Yep. So for those of us who are just joining, it looks like we had someone who just found us, James KI5OEB668. So welcome in. This is our birthday bonanza stream. So make sure you enter our giveaway, hashtag BDayBrew, all in caps, to join the giveaway and get this great Brew and Activate can koozie.
Very much. And these if people definitely want to get one of their own, I'm talking with Shane on a few other things, but we also will have the Brew and Activate hat in the store too as well. So if you prefer to get a snapback hat and you like the trucker style hat, we'll have them in a couple different colors with the Brew and Activate logo there, you see. And so yeah, I think we're kind of ready to smack that button. So here we go. The last one for our last koozie giveaway is going to
Yeah, and so like Eric was saying, make sure you check out the Live Free and Ham store where you can pick up all kinds of fun Live Free and Ham and KC1OHT merch. And we got Kyle, KC9IMA. Congratulations on winning the Brew and Activate can koozie.
Awesome, guys.
Let us know if you're good on QRZ.
Yep, definitely, hit us up. And always, if you want, you can just email me at n1jur.nh@gmail. Email address is in all of our descriptions there. Make sure if you guys are all, I know Hamman and Roger are definitely good on QRZ. Kyle, just let us know in the chat if you are, and then I'll get those out this week. Okay.
All right.
Sweet. Well, good show, guys. Good show.
That's another showdown.
Yes, more to come. But that kind of brings us to the point. Like, if you've got a topic you want us to talk about, like, something's bothering you, something, we didn't touch upon, feel free to obviously hit us up. You can head on over to our Discord, leave that in the Brew and Activate channel over there to, say hello, come hang out. But more so, if you got a show idea, share it with us. We'll make sure we get in the rotation. We've actually done a few in the past that have been listeners submitted, and they've been really, really well received. So it's really, really cool. Yeah, with that, I think we're good here. So good show, guys. It was always good to see everybody there in the chat. Thanks again for hanging out with us on a Friday in the morning. I know if you're listening to us in the background, we appreciate you. But at the same time, if you haven't, you can always check the podcast out, and always code to team replays, they say. So we appreciate all the love. Thanks you guys again for supporting both Shannon and I. And stay tuned for us next week. We meet here every Friday, 10 a.m. So get us on your calendars there, and look forward to seeing you guys all next week.
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, head over to my channel if you're watching on Eric's channel, Shannon KC1OHT, always looking for more subscribers over there. And yeah, tell your friends.
Yeah, there we go. All right.